What's happening, everybody? JayShockblast here, and we are on that LEGO Dimensions, quite possibly for the last time. Wave 9 is out and has been out for about a week now, a little over a week, and it is the final wave of LEGO Dimensions. I know, we're sad. I have a video about that coming up eventually, but for now, we want to talk about the great characters that came with LEGO Dimensions. And there are so many at this point, 9 waves of characters, so many minifigs cluttering our desks everywhere, or proudly on display. This game was fantastic, and it really kind of, opened my eyes to the world of actual LEGO collecting. I've always played LEGO games and loved LEGO games, but I've never been a big LEGO collector and never really bought sets. But now I have all these minifigs, and they look cool. And I've gone out and I've bought other minifigs. We'll have to kind of wonder what could have been and really hope for LEGO Dimensions 2 without figures, hopefully. But for now, I figured I would talk about my 10 favorite characters in LEGO Dimensions. So there are so many amazing franchises, and with 2 years worth of characters and just different franchises all over the place, it was really tough. I did a top 10 characters with year 1, and some of those characters that were in the top 10 list will make their way onto this one. But I did not take into account how I felt at the end of year 1 in making my list. So I haven't even actually looked at the list. So there's a possibility that of the characters from year 1 that made it into the final top 10, that some of them might not be in the same order they were in year 1, and that's because I've learned to use the characters differently. None of these characters are on my list. These are all kind of honorable mentions that I had just to kind of represent a bunch of different franchises at once. The biggest honorable mention being this guy right here, Jay, because I am also Jay, and we love everybody named Jay. So, without any further ado, let's go ahead and check out my top 10 favorite characters of all time, of all the evers, in LEGO Dimensions. At number 10 on my list, we have the Wicked Witch from Wizard of Oz. And I think I was a little disappointed that we never saw Dorothy, but I'm not disappointed that we got to use the Wicked Witch. The Wicked Witch was my go-to magic user, more so than anybody. Definitely more so than Gandalf. I'm not a big Lord of the Rings guy. I think they absolutely nailed this. The Wizard of Oz, not one of my favorite movies of all time, but a very special movie. A movie I watched with my mom and my aunts for a very long time when I was younger, and I think that's what I think of when I think of the Wizard of Oz. And I just think they really nailed it with the Wicked Witch. Her voiceover is fantastic, the world is beautiful, and just all of her animations are just so phenomenal. The Wicked Witch is not a character I would have typically thought would have made a top 10 list for me, but she did it on both of them. I think she was actually number 2 on my my list last year. So one of the even best parts about it, if we could borrow a character real quick here. So one of the best parts that I think they did with her was when she gets wet, she melts. Oh, I'm melting. Oh. So, more from him later, but for now, we focus on number 10 on my list, the Wicked Witch. Just a great character. They did a great job with her, and I really enjoyed her. At number 9 on my list, we have Aquaman, another character from year 1. I just love Aquaman. I don't know what it is. I think with Justice League coming out here shortly, Jason Momoa is going to help change the way that people feel about Aquaman. And that little move he just did right there with his idle animations, I don't know, just everything about this character they've done so well. I know they basically just copied and pasted him from Lego Batman 3, but I'm completely okay with it. This is my go-to character whenever I need to go deep diving underwater. Of course, we have Atlantis down here for Aquaman. And I don't know, man, I have multiple Aquamans, partially because Thor, my dog Thor, chewed up my first Aquaman, but I digress. I don't know, man. Like, Aquaman is just, he really does it for me. Whenever I needed water powers, obviously Aquaman was my go-to the point that I kind of forgot other characters that did water powers, like Voldemort and stuff like that. So he's colorful, he's fun, his voiceovers are really great. I loved Aquaman. So at number 9 from DC Comics, we had Aquaman. At number 8, squeezing in right at the end via Wave 9, we have Raven. And Raven is not a character I would have thought would have made the list, much less because I am not really a fan of Teen Titans Go. But I think what I felt when I saw Teen Titans Go was announced as part of it kind of resonated and came true. I just love DC Comics characters, so any DC Comics character we could get in here, whether it was via a franchise that I don't love, it's not my best or favorite representation of DC Comics characters, with the kind of very kids-oriented Teen Titans Go. You know, I'm okay with it, though. And I think they did a great job with Raven. I love the face she makes right here. I wish she could make it permanently. And she's got some really cool features. She's got the little Raven that she actually can let you control, that can go into the little areas and unlock some things. She can fly. I love characters that can fly. I love the kind of art that goes into her. I love that she's so sardonic. She's very dark and mysterious, and you know, I think they really nailed her, and they nailed her in a way where, you know, you've got the moody teenager, and it's not as, you know, terrible as I kind of thought Teen Titans Go would be. I love the quest. Actually, no, I was thinking of Starfire there. Ha! I was going to say I love the emoticlones, which is what I was going to look for there, Starfire. But I love the slap. So, yeah.
But I don't have one, so whatever.
This little Darth Sidious action going right there. So, you know, I just really feel like they did a great job with her. The way she just kind of floats and she's kind of there. I don't know. I love Raven. So, at number 8, we have Raven. At number 7, we have Finn from Adventure Time. And I have to say, the absolute best thing that ever came out of LEGO Dimensions for me was my newfound love for Adventure Time. I had heard of Adventure Time for a long time. It wasn't necessarily something that I thought would interest me. But man, what a phenomenal franchise. What a great, I just love everything about it. My favorite world, everything, all things considered, Adventure Time for me is the best on LEGO Dimensions. It's the best of LEGO Dimensions. They have so many characters. You have Finn, you have Jake, you have Lumpy Space Princess, you have Marceline. So there's just so many great characters that they were able to put out, and just having all of them here, and just the beautiful artwork and everything about the Adventure Time world and the level and everything. This, if somebody said if I could only get one franchise for LEGO Dimensions, it would have been this. Now, I say that because collectively they're great, and it's not that Finn isn't collectively great. There's a possibility I could have had him even higher on my list, and I feel really weird only having him at 7, trust me, but I just could not put him ahead of anybody else on my list. And it's a shame, because I don't know that it completely represents just how much I've grown to love and respect Adventure Time because of this. He has some of the greatest, dialogue that you're going to find in this game. Just it's Adventure Time in general, And no, unfortunately, Fern the Human is not here on the Xbox One. So it is what it is. But I just love everything about this, and when I think of LEGO Dimensions, I'm always going to think Adventure Time. So at number 7 on my list, we have Finn the Human from Adventure Time. At number 6 on my list of top 10 favorite characters in LEGO Dimensions ever, we have Beetlejuice. Beetlejuice! When I saw that Beetlejuice was being added via Wave 6, or I'm sorry, Year 2 of LEGO Dimensions, Wave 9 actually, I was thrilled. I loved Beetlejuice when I was younger. It was a Tim Burton's like great movie. I could not wait to get him. And then it felt really cool to have the opportunity to play him at E3, kind of before anybody else had the chance to do it. I could not wait when I was at E3 to give him a try. And, oh, look at that. He can just go right through there. So, I love Beetlejuice, man. He is just a phenomenal character. And I'm glad they were able to add him in here. His adventure world is actually really, really cool. When you go up into the attic, you can go into this little miniature area. And it's just such a fitting way to do Beetlejuice, you know? Like, in the Lego sphere, and by doing this little mini Lego style world almost. I think they nailed it, man. Like, he's a really fun character to play, and I love his animations. I feel like some of his conversation is great, and the way that they utilized him in the Teen Titans Go episode that was exclusive to Wave 9. Just really love Beetlejuice in this game. And I wish I got to use him a whole lot more throughout the life of the franchise. But I'm glad for the time that I did get to spend with it. He's just so great. And I love his little dance. Like, this is the Beetlejuice world is a testament to how much care went into all of these LEGO Dimensions sets. And again, that's one of the things that I love the most about LEGO Dimensions. So at number 6, we have Beetlejuice. At number 5 on my list, we have one of the more controversial characters that they released as part of LEGO Dimensions. That's right, we have Green Arrow. And seeing these two side by side reminds me of what could have been. I think we all wanted a little bit of Arrowverse in LEGO Dimensions with the Flash and Green Arrow, and it's disappointing to think that we're never going to get the Flash, but we did get Green Arrow, and Green Arrow for me was phenomenal. I spent $100 on this piece because it was an exclusive at E3. They were giving them away at E3 in 2006, and it was basically the first Year 2 character that they released, and eventually they gave them away at GameStop over Christmas, but I'm just a sucker for Green Arrow and Arrow in general. Steve Amell is a total favorite of mine. This was my Legolas. I used Green Arrow anytime I needed to do, pulls, like the rope pulls, or if you had to shoot an arrow into one of the holes so you could, acrobatically jump up things. Like, Green Arrow is one of my go-tos. I always use Green Arrow. To be honest with you, I'm a little surprised he's this low on the list. But this was my character. Like, I'm a huge Arrow fan, a huge Green Arrow fan, and I wish he was more readily available for everybody. I know in the grand scheme of things, he's not necessarily the flashiest of characters, but there's going to be people that do their top 10 lists that really love, the Lord of the Rings characters, so I don't really think Legolas is any different. So in any event, here we are, number 5, Green Arrow. At number 3, we have a character that I believe was number 1 on my list for Year 1. It is ScoobyDoo, and he is still at the top of the list. Just a phenomenal character. Not even one of my favorite franchises growing up. I did appreciate ScoobyDoo, but it wasn't something I watched a ton. They just nailed it. First of all, I'm a dog lover. You guys have known my boxers, both Thor and Teddy, and you know that I love dogs. So that alone is enough to get you kind of at the head of the class. but it's not the be-all, end-all. You have to do everything right, and they did everything right with Scooby-Doo. He's just so much fun, and, you know, I don't know what I'm actually supposed to do here. Can glide. Okay, so basically that is exactly what I wanted to do. Glide. I mean, how can you not appreciate that right there? His little dive antics to get on over here. Little whirlybird special. The way that he walks. I mean, they just nailed everything there is to get about Scooby-Doo. His animations are phenomenal. Everything was great. I wish there was actually a full-blown, Scooby-Doo game off of this. I mean, they did a Lego Scooby-Doo movie, and I feel like this is the type of franchise that, could have at least had its own kind of full game. Good stuff, man. I just loved Scooby-Doo. I was hoping he would do an animation there, but, they never do what you want when you want them to. Another animation that I did think was really cool was when he actually goes into the water. Love it. So, he could swim underwater. And before Aquaman came out, because Aquaman was very late in year one, he was my go-to swimmer. And you can't really necessarily see it, but he does that cool dolphin dive. Oh, man. Scooby-Doo, where are you? So, now I got to get him out of the water. There we go. So at number... Ooh. That'll help. I love his little legs. Oh, it's so adorbs. But at number 2 on my list... I'm sorry, number 3 on my list, we have Scooby-Woo-Woo-Woo! At number 3 on my list, we have another Adventure Time character. We have Marceline, the Vampire Queen, and this character is everything great about LEGO Dimensions. Her animations are just phenomenal. The way that she just sits there and dances when she's idle, the way that she busts out her guitar and rocks out, and all the different things that she can change into. She can fly, she turns into a bat, obviously since she's a vampire. And then when she comes over somewhere like here, where she's got to dig, she becomes the werewolf. The things that she says are just hilarious. Everything about Marceline is great, except for the fact that she launched a little broken, but we can look past that because, I mean, look at the animations. Look at her face. Like, it hurt me earlier in the video to have Finn so low, but it doesn't hurt because, at number 3 and number 7, we have 2 characters from Adventure Time. And quite frankly, Lumpy Space Princess and Jake, the dog, probably would have made it into the top 20. I don't want to go too far over there. But, I mean, I love this world. I can't rave enough about Adventure Time. And Marceline just did it. I mean, she was so much fun. I love this character. I love her dialogue. Everything. The conversation she has with Lumpy. Like, just amazing. So, again, I will always think of Adventure Time when it comes to LEGO Dimensions because the characters were so great. The stories were so fantastic, mathematical. I mean, I just love it. So, at number 3, we have Marceline. At number 2 on my list, we have Sonic the Hedgehog. And the only complaint I could ever have for Sonic the Hedgehog was he went into his idle animation a little bit too quick, and for some reason my recording software has these weird green blurs, and that's probably because he goes too fast. That's right, Sonic the Hedgehog was just a phenomenal character. Absolutely kind of renewed my love for Sonic. Sonic is a character that I grew up with. I was a Sega Genesis guy, and just... I really think that he's a very different character, and because he's so cool like this, it's one of the bigger reasons why I'm disappointed that the Flash never made it in the game. I think everybody loves speedsters in LEGO games. I mean, you see it with the Flash, you see it with Quicksilver, and all the different Marvel speedsters they've had. I think they really brought something very unique to life with this world. It's a very different kind of Sonic than a lot of people are used to. You know, everybody's used to kind of the side scroller. I know that there are other Sonics that have been out there, but you know, the traditional Sonic, this kind of changed the way I felt about it. And it would be interesting to see a very, very dynamic and different open world kind of Sonic game. I don't know what to expect from Sonic Forces. I'm looking forward to it, but this really, for me, was just so different from everything that I remember out of Sonic. And now, you know, we're running into one of the few complaints I ever really had, which was that sometimes he just goes too fast. You know, which I know seems sacrilegious, but... and then, of course, we had... I forgot how to do it. Come on. I forgot how you actually change him into Supersonic. There we go. Boom. But the running on water, I mean, just everything was really just so cool. But he goes really fast, and I know that's the point. But sometimes it can be... Sometimes it can just be a little challenging. But, yeah. Sonic was just a lot of fun. And at number 2 on my list, we had Sonic the Hedgehog. This is one of those challenges when you're doing a video all in one take. Oh, man. Let's move on to my favorite character from LEGO Dimensions. At number 1 on my list of top 10 LEGO Dimension characters ever, if you told me when it all started that Supergirl would end up being my number 1 favorite character they released in LEGO Dimensions, I would have told you that you were insane, and I probably would have actually been kind of disappointed, because Supergirl is not even anywhere on my radar as a top favorite character in DC Comics, let alone a game that has incorporated so many amazing franchises. But what did it for me was this. As many of you know, I am a massive Red Lanterns fan, and Supergirl in the comics became a Red Lantern. And this became my instant favorite. Atrocitus, my favorite DC Comics character of all time, and to be able to have a Red Lantern in the game, albeit as Supergirl, was phenomenal to me. I love using her. For so long, she was the only character that could do the lantern constructs. Not that there were really that many of those in the game, but it was just so great to have a Red Lantern. She could do all the... Ooh, I never actually even saw this. That's crazy. She could do all the destructive things and everything, but still be a Red Lantern. So it's crazy to me that in all the time I'm playing this, never even noticed the Lex statue up here. You know, but that's one of the great things about this game, and kind of encapsulates everything that I loved about LEGO Dimensions. There's so many fine, minor details that they worked in to all these levels. They did it with so much love and care for the actual franchises. You know, the franchises that they chose, you could tell they went after those franchises. Goonies being one that sticks out to me especially. You know, watching how much Arthur Parsons loved pitching it on Twitter. You know, so it's just, this game deserved better. I think it was a couple years too late. I think if they came out around the time Disney Infinity came out, they would have absolutely destroyed the market, let alone Skylanders. I mean, this This is the game that Toys to Life was made for. And, you know, I'm sad to see it go, but hopefully it can continue as just a game, because I think having these mashups of all these different amazing franchises and seeing all these different characters interact, you know, together, it's the stuff of dreams, you know. Seeing Batman sit there and talk to Beetlejuice and reference Birdman, I mean, because they were both all played by Michael Keaton. That's the stuff that made this game so great. I'm so thankful that I have it. I mean, I know that there's tons of stuff that I've always had all over my desk, and you know, but I'll deal with those annoyances to have such a fantastic game. I hope everybody enjoyed the video. I would love to know what your top 10 characters in LEGO Dimensions are, and you know, let's all cross our fingers that they can find a way to come back with a LEGO Dimensions 2, hopefully without minifigs, and I'll have a video about that shortly. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. We'll see ya.